Hello, everyone. Welcome to another great podcast recording for my show, Empowered Investing with Leading Ladies. Now, I started this because I know that there aren't as many women investing in commercial real estate. And I wanted this to be a way to educate, to share, and provide some great guests that have been in this industry for a while and have a lot of knowledge to share. So thank you again for joining us. Today, I'm excited to have a friend on the show today, Cecila Cossio, who I met, 2.5, 3 years ago, I believe it is now.
3 years ago.
3 years ago. And she has a wealth of knowledge, both from the management side of things and then now as an investor. So welcome, Cecila Cossio, to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I'm quite honored to be able to share stage with you. And yes, it's been 3 years. Can you believe that?
Yeah, time flies.
I know. Well, my name is Cecila Cossio. I am CEO and founder of Next Gen Legacy. I have been in the multifamily industry for 30 plus years. I have had the privilege, honor, and blessing of leading hundreds of teams, overseeing millions of dollars of assets. And one day I said, you know what? It is time for me to step out on my own because I had this deep commitment to sharing what I had seen happening in the multifamily world with those around me. And so we really focus on people, purpose, and progress. That is what we thrive on. And I have found that the last year and a half, just stepping out and believing in myself has just been my greatest accomplishment other than my children thus far.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, children and family is a big piece of it. I love your post on Facebook where you're talking about your son and your kids and your grandkids. It's why we do it, right? It's for family and to position family to do well in the future. So, I talked to you right as you were going into this new journey of yours, and I was there applauding every moment of the way. But I have to ask you to take a step back.
Mhm.
What was the moment, or can you think back to when you said, "Okay, this is it. I've been working in this industry for lots and lots of years, and it's time for me to do this on my own." Walk us through that because so many women take that leap. So walk us through that.
There's been a number of moments. I think this was just in me from a very young age. I was a teen mom, and I remember being told that I was never going to make more than minimum wage.
Wow.
And that drove me to push myself harder than I ever thought possible. Going from a leasing agent to the president of a company to owning my own real estate. And I think back to that moment, and it's just something that's always been within me. So when I decided to do this directly, it was when I realized I was getting some phenomenal bonuses, and my teams were getting some phenomenal bonuses for dispositions of assets. But there was much more there to be made. And while I was creating somebody else's legacy, I wasn't really building my own. And look, I was paid fairly. I was paid great, actually. I had a great boss who allowed me to step out and do my own thing without trying to hold me back. But there's just so much more that you can pour into this if you push yourself to that. And that was the defining moment for me when I was like, whoa, look at all this work my team did. And look, they got paid for what was agreed on. So I'm not knocking that part, but there's so much more to it. Learning those things is what took me to that whole different level.
Well, and I think once the decision is made, I know because I've been through it myself, you immediately have that fear, right? That thing, that nagging thought that jumps into the middle of your brain and says, "Yeah, but what if?" "What if things don't go well? What if, you don't make as much money on those investments? What does that mean for your life?" So, walk us through how you got past that fear.
Well, I don't think you're ever ready. Like, honestly, you're never really ready. You know, full transparency, I was making $250,000 a year on my salary. And so understanding the different benefits that I would have as an owner rather than a W 2 was pivotal. As an employee, as a W 2 person, you don't really understand that. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people want to stay W 2, there's security in that, there's assurance in that. But when you start looking at the back end and what you're looking to build, um, that's kind of what did it for me. And I say that because again, this was not a one-time thing. This didn't just happen 3 years ago. I've always had some kind of side business. I've always had a cleaning company or um, you know, rehab company, and we would work on houses or we would paint or whatever it was. I was doing private money lending, and I didn't really realize I was doing private money lending when I was a single mom, but I was making money off of things, right? I was flipping houses by living in a house and flipping the house so that my daughter could stay in private school. It's so like, it's in you. And you got to be willing to take those risks. So, I think it was those moments, it's a stepping stone of moments that led to that final moment. And you're never ready.
No.
You're never ready. You can sit here and say, I tell people, save enough money for 3 years, save this, save that, but it's never ready. Like you're never really ready. You got to just jump out there and do it.
Yeah. So, that gets me to the, getting started. Getting started can mean so many things. What did it really mean to you? Was it a business plan? What allowed you to kind of plan? I'll call it your escape, but I'll plan your next journey.
Prayer. I mean,
I love that.
Prayer, I knew that I was meant to do something greater. I knew that I was meant to make an impact on lives beyond myself and my family. I've always known that my superpower is being able to, in this business, has been being able to understand the owner, the team member, the community, the 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 investment as a whole. So like it's not just one thing. And I think for me, saying, all right, God, like, what do you have in store for me? Because, I'm a little control freak. So
Yeah.
I like to have a plan and I like to make things happen.
Yeah.
So mine was really prayer, but don't get me wrong, these are the goals that I have to set. You have to have the end in mind. You have to understand where you want to be. And then you have to have the flexibility to make that change. It's kind of like people, you have to meet people where they're at and then bring them to where you want them to be or where you need them to be. Right. So, but when it's all said and done, it was my faith.
Yeah. Yeah. Faith gets you to so many places you wouldn't go without. I completely agree with that. So, when you were looking at the plan, right? What was your first goal in terms of, I've been living off of this kind of an income. How do I, what's my goal? How do I step into this and know I'm going to be okay? What is that? How does somebody that's doing that figure out that dollar goal?
I do tell people in my coaching, I tell people try to save up 3 years of salary. Mine was cut short just because I was planning on being where I was at about another 6 to 9 months, and it didn't work out that way. But I make sure, try to make sure that you have enough income, a monthly income, annual income to live for 3 years, because it is very difficult. Like, we may make the stuff look easy and great and peachy and all that, but it's hard. It is hard. It takes discipline. It takes, doing things that you hadn't had to do. From my standpoint, the biggest struggle was, as the president of a management company, the vice president of, a big region, the senior vice president. Like, when you go through my resume, I've had people working with me on these teams for years. So many of them understood my thought process. I could say 5 words and they already knew what was needed, right?
Mhm.
Well, it was just me.
Yeah.
And while I may have trained them up through their career, it's having to retrain people again. So, it's really understanding where you want to be and then reverse engineer that on what are the steps. What is everything that you're going to have to do, and really work backwards, so that way you can say, okay, here's this, here's this, here's this, here's the stepping stones. But I do it the reverse way.
Yeah.
It's the way my mind works. Like, I already know where I'm at. I'm talking about where I'm going to be. So
Yeah. No, I think that's phenomenal. And, as you look at that and you go, okay, how did you jump from managing properties? Because you manage how many units?
The last one was 4,200 units, but I've had up to like 8,000, 7,500. They're smaller portfolios, but I think overall a total of, like, when I counted all the units that I've had, the different type of units, because I've had everything from new construction, Class A to HUD, it was like 12,360 something.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a lot of units. So
Yeah.
then you told the owner of your company, I am going to become an investor owner like you. And did you give him a certain amount of time before you said, I'm done?
Yeah. Actually, I went into this company I was there almost 6 years. And when I went in, I told him that I wanted to buy my own properties. So I told him I wanted to run my own company. So I think that was part of the reason he hired me, is because I had that entrepreneurial mindset, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it was about a year. Well, my journey there was about 2 years long after I started joining the masterminds. If he would have put me right next to his desk and I could have learned from him, I would have probably still been there, because I think what I could have continued learning from, I learned a lot in a very short period. But, and 6 years isn't a short period, but it is when you're taking all this stuff in, right? But if I could have sat right next to him, I would have probably, stayed there a little bit longer, because what you can learn from people who have done this, who have successfully done it. And success isn't just about the immediate or where he's at the moment. It took a lot for him to get to where he was at, right? But just being able to learn those lessons and understand those struggles that he had, it was a different light for me, because especially when I went out on my own, because I'm like, you know what, this is why he does this, or this is why he would behave this way, or this is why he handled things this way. Just recently, I had another conversation with somebody about partnering on a management company, and we were talking about some of the things that he's already built. And somebody said, "Well, why would you go in there and like continue building that company?" I'm like, "Well, number one is the reputation's already there for that company, right? They've already gone through all the hard stuff. They've already gone through, if you've been through the 2006, 2007, 2008 cycle, those were cycles that were very difficult for us. And most of us that are older have those experiences, which you cannot pay for.
Yeah.
Those are real lessons. And we're getting to use those lessons from then today in today's cycle.
Yeah.
So if you have somebody on your team that was in it back then, put your listening ears on, because it's you should be able to pull some stuff that would be applicable to what's happening today. But anyway, I I said to them, I was like, he's already been through the hard stuff for his company. We're looking at partnering, and my stuff is new. My stuff is merging in. I bring in a side that he doesn't have. So it's not about devaluing what I bring into the table. And thank you, Arlene, because you're one of those that continue to remind me, Cecilia, remember what you bring to the table. It is far greater than you're giving yourself credit for. So empowering women like that is, who you are, who I am. So I say all that to say, when you oh my goodness, I started having my squirrel moment here. When I was talking to the person about what these people have built, it's about learning from them and being able to take that and apply it to today. How can I continue building my legacy today?
Right.
So,
yeah. No, that's phenomenal. And you mentioned that you joined masterminds. So was that your first kind of educational step to more the direct ownership side, or walk us through how you started that educational journey and kind of where you are today?
So yes, so I joined the mastermind, and that was actually, the mastermind was money well spent, because it took me around people that had done this at the ownership level that I would be coming in at. So in other words, the bigger companies that I had worked for, even the gentleman that I was working for, they were at completely different levels than what I was seeing in these masterminds. Not that the masterminds were small levels, but they were definitely smaller than the companies that I had been with, because we're talking about institutional money, we're talking about institutional groups and institutional partnerships, where this was more of the smaller owner syndication groups, partnerships, and smaller businesses. So I was able to just watch and listen and really just put my ears to the wall on the way people were handling things. It was a very expensive mastermind, but it was well worth it. I do tell people, when you're going out there and you're taking classes or you're enrolling in education, what is it that you're looking for, and dig deep before you get all excited into the sales pitch, because that's what I did. So I enrolled into the education platform that they had and into the mastermind. And the reality of it was, I didn't really need the education platform. I needed the mastermind. I needed the proximity. That is where I was able to partner up, where I met one of my partners. And so it definitely was money that was well spent. But, I myself am doing an education program, and I'm doing a partnership program through that education program. And I try to be mindful of those that I'm serving. It's not free, but it does take a lot of time, and you people who pay for education are definitely more invested into it.
Yeah. So walk us through your program. What does your program look like, and what would somebody get out of your program that would be interested in it?
I have two different programs. One of them is learning the investing, learning how to evaluate properties from not just a property management side, but the asset management side, from the investor side. So they come through. We start learning about underwriting due diligence, about capital stack, about doing the physical due diligence, and then about operations at a very surface level after the acquisition. And then the other program that I have is Property Management 101. And it is basically how to understand property management language. And I mean, I'm just going to keep it fully transparent, keep it real. Like, if it sounds like BS, I can tell you, like, or there's things that happen that are said. Look, we have a great ability to use words to, get us through a financial review. And I'm like, yeah, hold on a second. Yeah, hold on a second. So I know how to look at the back end information or listen to those target words or, do analysis without doing analysis paralysis.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
So it sounds like a really valuable program if you were new to multifamily and you're really want to be where you are,
yeah.
which is buying your own properties. This is a good way to get the basic understanding to be able to kind of speed up your process to get there. So,
I
um,
think
go
I
ahead.
think we teach our on-site teams, and this is a twofold. First of all, from the investor side, if you're going to spend millions of dollars on an asset, you darn well better be ready to get somebody to teach you how to look at reports, how to look at data, how to see a property, how somebody with 30 years experience can tell you a lot about what's happening without even stepping onto the property. And then stepping onto the property, boy, I really can tell you what's going on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
From
Those financials tell a story every day,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then from the property management side, I tell people like, and companies, pay for your team members to understand what they can bring to the table. And it's not like, don't be fearful of losing them, but it teaches them how to take that ownership. When you start empowering them, they start owning it. And you want them to get out there and buy their own stuff. And if they do, good for them. But,
Yeah.
that's not the mindset every person has. And just because you teach them these things doesn't mean they're going to go away. But you
Right.
want them to understand that every keystroke, every swipe, every pin, everything they do impacts that bottom line. And you do that by empowering them through education, training, and ownership.
I agree. I agree. I think it's invaluable. We hire people all the time, and I'm amazed at the fact that no one has ever taught them what a property's financials look like. And these are managers. These are people who are running multi-million-dollar businesses,
Yep.
but have not ever been taught to read the numbers to understand how they can impact the numbers. So good
But
for you. I completely
yeah,
agree.
well, because think about these managers, okay? And this is my thing with this is managers get put on a property and say, go make the business run. Many of
Mhm.
them don't have the master's degrees or even a bachelor's degrees, right? But they understand how to make the numbers run.
Right.
And think about if you empower them to that next level, the magic they can create.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, hey, I am really big on that because what my journey has taught me is when people believe in themselves and they believe in the mission, no matter how difficult it is, the outcome is unbelievable. Like they can make things happen that I know people used to tell me, how did you even do it? I just did. Like I know how to make it happen. I didn't understand back then what that meant, but I knew that I knew how to make it happen and I knew how to make my people believe in making it happen. And that has been part of my legacy.
Yeah. Yeah, they have to know your mission, right? They have to be part of your mission, so that they can create that value to the
Yep.
residents, who carry our paychecks in their pockets every single day. So it doesn't happen without a team. So let's look at your first investment as an owner.
Yeah.
Walk us through how you selected the partner, selected the property, and what nuggets you can share with our audience, if they're looking at whether to buy their own or just to find a partner to invest with. What did that look like, and what nuggets can you share?
I will say that it's been a combination of things. I've been blessed with overall good partners. That doesn't mean we are always in agreement. And I tell people that, like, you don't always have to be in agreement. My first partner, she is phenomenal. She does great things in a community like New York. She does a lot of investing there. So she's been phenomenal. The property, what I have learned through the whole thing is it's important that you are aligned with your partners as a whole. Like, people get really excited about getting into these deals, and then they find out, like, oh, well, we weren't, maybe weren't aligned this way or that way. The question is, can you work in a partnership for the next 5 to 7 years? And because once you're in, you don't really have a choice. You have a responsibility to your investors, whether they're your investors or your partner's investors, because you are part of the deal. So it's really important to know people before you start partnering up. And as excited as people get, I always tell them, just slow down, take your time. And then as far as the deals go, it's the same with every deal. It's looking deep and digging deep. And I've seen this happen a number of times. I saw it happen when I was in property management, right? I would give an underwriting to an owner and he'd be like, yeah, but this is what I'm giving to the bank. Well, you can give the bank whatever you want. This is what it's going to be. And that's really, that's the bottom line. Like, you can't really go against national, state, local, average rents, average expenses. They are what they are, right? Like, you can make tweaks to make it better. The better comes in the people you have, the people you hire.
Yeah.
That's how you become better.
Right. Yeah.
And I tell people this because I think sometimes there's such a disconnect. So what I really learned from it is that communication is key. And know that you're not always going to like your partners, but as long as you guys are aligned in your ethics, your end goal, then you'll be able to survive it. And you can't just quit. You can't quit on your partners. Like, it gets really hard. People think that these deals are just easy. Even when I'm not agreeing with my partners, I have their back because they are my partners, right? I can't just throw them to the wind. And I'm sure, like, even when they don't agree with me, because I'm opinionated, and I am like, no, this is what I know, and this is what I believe. But if there's certain times in these partnerships that you have to understand, like, okay, as long as it's not going to hurt my investor directly, then I have to step back from some of it. So it's really learning how to play through these partnerships, through this business plan, through these times, because we are in difficult times. But everybody wants their investors to make money, no matter what, right? You want your investors to make money. So as long as you keep that in line, they're not, nobody's out here to lose money.
Right.
And that is the main goal. And that's when it gets tough. That's when we get in there, get stronger, build a more cohesive bond, and put our heads down and move forward towards the solution, so we can make sure that our investors are able to get what we told them they were going to get.
Yeah. And every partnership, everybody should have a role, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should have different skills or complementary skills. So what role do you find that you're primarily playing in these partnerships, or is there a primary role, or do you play several roles?
It's been a number of roles. I have, over the last probably 6 months, I have really had to tighten my role for myself, because that's a Cecilia problem, where I'm a problem solver. I'm a fixer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I see something's not right, I just jump in and I want to fix it. But this is where you have to realize that, number one is you can't do this on your own. And number two is that you are in a partnership. So for me, what I have mostly played is the asset management role, and in looking at I deal with the financials, I deal with the day-to-day operations. I sit on the calls with property management and just kind of listen to some of the things they say and don't say, or you know. So yeah, so it's been a number of roles, and that's been a blessing, because when I say that I already had a lot of experience, I definitely had a lot of experience. But this here that I have been doing for the past few years has definitely taken my skill set, my patience, my ability to collaborate in a manner where I was the subject matter expert in multifamily, to saying, okay, well, if that's the way you want to do it, here's what's going to happen, and being able to step back from it.
Right.
So that's kind of the different roles that I played, and it has been absolutely a great journey. I was talking to somebody about that this morning, and I'm like, while it has been hard, it has been a great journey, because think about it from like my standpoint. I go running, a management company where I'm making the decisions, where I'm saying this is what's happening, and I do it very successfully. I'm overseeing HUD contracts and acquisitions and dispositions, and I'm running the show, to actually sharing that with others and having to step back on some of them, even if I don't agree. So like that has definitely brought a different skill set and different lessons to me.
Yeah. So how many deals have you been a partner on?
I have been a partner on 5 deals
Wow.
in the past 5 years. I've been an equity partner in some deals from prior years, but in the past 5 years, I'm a partner on 5 deals. I'm an LP on 3 deals. And so, yeah, that's it's a lot. It's when you think back, you're like, wow, 5 deals, like this is where I'm actually a partner on, not a co-GP or anything, like a full-blown partner. So my kids, my youngest son and my grandson are now really engaged in what I'm doing. They actually just got their own email address to our investment company. So yeah, they're going to be my new partners.
So is that your why?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I want my family and people who look like us to be able to walk in a room and own it and not have to defend their space there.
Yeah.
So I want my kids and my grandkids and my great grandkids and my legacy as a whole to know that, you know what, you guys own this, you guys earn it, you guys work for it, it is yours, nobody can take it away from you, and you guys can just keep building it. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I share that with you because, my kids are working with us, and it's so rewarding to know that all that hard work is for a purpose, right?
Yeah.
So that's great. So what are your goals? Like, give me your goals for the next 3, 5, and kind of your moonshot goal. What do those goals look like?
My moonshot goal is to have 10,000 units. So that is my moonshot goal. I want to be a Latina developer. And we already have a roofing and construction company that we do work from. So like that was the first step. And so, that is 10,000 units is my moonshot goal. And that's at least 10,000. Let me rephrase that. At least 10,000 units.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. So, you are now what I would call a seasoned investor. I mean, with 5 properties under your belt, but Well, as we are wrapping up, what advice would you give another woman who is maybe looking at this journey to invest either passively or become an active owner? What advice do you have for them?
Don't wait.
Mhm.
Educate yourself on what you want to do and what you want to invest in. Understand what people are saying. Don't hand your money over to somebody freely. Like, you need to know what you're investing into. You need to understand that part, but don't wait. Don't wait, because I think that's a mistake we make. We're always trying to make sure that we have our plan and that it looks good, that it works good, that it's, working out the way, like, it's lined out. Here's the beginning, here's the end. But I waited probably 2 to 3 years too long.
Mhm.
So don't wait.
I'm with you on that because, we didn't start until later in our lives either. But I was never exposed to it.
No.
I was in banking and I knew about other types of investments, but had never really been introduced to real estate investing. So I feel like it comes to you when you're ready for it. And when God thinks, okay, I'm putting it in your path
Yep.
and you're ready to take it and move it forward. So but Cecilia, it's been such a joy to spend time with you today on the podcast, learning about your phenomenal experience, hearing about your leap
You.
of faith into this new journey of, ownership. I have no doubt you will be a Latina developer, no doubt at all. So I thank you again for sharing those nuggets and for giving us of your valuable time and wish nothing but the best for you, my friend. Continue
Likewise.
to move on.
Thank you, Arlene, and thank you for having me on, and thank you for being such a phenomenal role model as well. You've been out there taking the charge, and when for those of us that came into this, 2 or 3 years ago, we sit here and we watch, and we appreciate everything that you're doing out there as well. So you keep doing the great things you're doing, because it helps all of us as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And
Yes.
to our viewers, thank you for joining us for this podcast. And you can't pay for the knowledge, not enough money for the knowledge Cecilia has. If you're interested in her program, look her up. And she'll provide some additional guidance for you as you move into your future investing. And wish you nothing but the best. And as Cecilia said, take action, get started, don't wait. But
Yep.
do your homework, get educated, and we wish you nothing but the best in your lives and your investing future. And hope you all have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.